Chase at the 40. Look at that move. Look at Chase go. Oh, my goodness. What a gear.
He comes down to this in his car end zone. Intercepted.
McPherson. And Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl.
Toss here. Mixon's going to throw. Open man caught. Higgins touchdown.
Drives touchdown. Joe Burrow has his first rushing touchdown of the season.
Good day, Bengal fans. He is Maan. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. As you guys can hear, I'm a little bit under the weather. It just kind of goes along with the week, right, Maan? It's been one of those weeks so far. But Maan, how's your week been so far?
Not good. Not good at all. No, it's been a stressful week. A lot of things happening at work that's not fun to talk about, and I won't on this show. And with the Monday night debacle, that was, the icing on the cake to a crappy week. And let's talk about it. I really don't want to, but we have to. And I'm excited that I am going to Cincinnati this weekend with my wife and daughter to see a Bengal game. So I'm flying up to save our Bengals.
Well, I'm glad. I'm gonna try to get up there with you. Hopefully, I'm feeling a little bit better. But yeah, it's been a rough week. We dropped a tough one on Friday, and then obviously on Monday another tough one. But we are gonna bounce back this Friday, and our Bengals are gonna bounce back this Sunday. I got a feeling. But let's unpack this, Maan, because obviously we do have a lot to talk about. You know, it's with our Bengals, it's almost right now 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and it really does feel like that. We're going to try to be positive, Bengal fans, but we are going to, again, Maan and I are both we're realistic about where this team is right now, and we have some things to discuss. And again, the comments are open. Please drop in your comments and let us know what your thoughts are right now on our Bengals, how we can fix this, and how you guys are feeling out there. But Maan, let's get into this episode 28. I would like to think it would be a good one since that's Mr. Mixon's number, but it's a tough one this week, right? Bengals drop another one to the Browns, 32-13. A game, honestly, Maan, for the first time, maybe in a year and a half, that I felt like the Bengals had no shot in this game. After that first quarter, I just felt like, you obviously want to be positive and you want to feel like the Bengals are going to bounce back, and obviously having Joe Burrow, we're always going to be in football games. But once Money Mac missed that field goal, I thought, oh man, we are in serious trouble. It just was one of those nights. It was Halloween night. What else is there to say? It's like the curse continues. Everyone else goes out and destroys the Cleveland Browns. Again, I've watched them a couple times this year. They look like they're playing a completely different sport than football. But for some reason, when they play us, it's insane. I don't even know what else to say about it, but it's just crazy. And I'm starting to get this feeling. I don't want to feel this way, but I'm starting to get this feeling, Maan, like, with Marvin struggled with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he had Baltimore and Cleveland. He really owned. Marvin Lewis really owned those two teams. And now we're seeing the flip of that, right? We're seeing Zach Taylor struggle against the Cleveland Browns, but have some success against the other two teams. It just doesn't make sense, Maan.
No, it doesn't. It's really frustrating. They have owned us. They've won 8 of the last 9 games against us. Jake, we go round and round about the Browns, and I do rave about some of their talent, and I think quarterback play has really held them back. When Baker Mayfield was there, he was Joe Montana against us. but then he was, he was just a guy against everybody else. And I can't put my finger on that. Jacoby Brissett had his most passing yards of the season against us Monday night. Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, they're two of the best at their position. Myles Garrett is a future Hall of Famer. This guy's a generational player. And, I didn't rewatch the game, but just the eyeball test, watching it and looking at some of the stats, he single-handedly just beat us. The tip pass that was going to be a completion to Higgins, I think we were going to score on that drive, led to the interception. The fumble that Taki caused was really due to Myles Garrett's pressure. And he had another sack in the game that stalled a drive. He just dominated. He dominated, and he single-handedly, stymied us in that game. And in the past, we've talked a lot about Zach Taylor's play calling, and I'm not going to sit here and criticize him, but when you play the Cleveland Browns and they have one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL, to have 10 rush attempts the whole game, unacceptable.
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 I agree.
And you know what? Listen, Myles Garrett, Jonah Williams struggles against him. Jonah Williams struggles against a lot of players. But listen, even the elite tackles in football struggle against Myles Garrett. Why play into their hands? We didn't win first down. It was second and long, third and long. What's going to happen? Myles Garrett, Clowney, even the other rookie had a couple sacks. They're going to tee off. And I just can't put my head around how you only have 10 rush attempts. 10. Jake, I don't know, man. I don't know.
And you're not helping out with Myles Garrett. That's the other thing, Again, I agree with you. Myles Garrett is a great player. I'm not ready to put him in the Hall of Fame yet, but when he plays us, there's no doubt he is a Hall of Famer because we make him look like one. I think he has now 6 or 7 career total sacks against Joe Burrow or something ridiculous. It is unacceptable, and we'll get into all that. But before we do, let's talk about the stats real quick. Offensively, Joe Burrow, 25 of 35, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, the interception you talked about, the deflection by Myles Garrett. Joe Burrow sacked 5 times. Here we go again with this. And then obviously a fumble loss that will go down as a sack. That goes down as a sack as well, like you said, by Taki. Mixon, 8 carries for 27 yards. Again, just doesn't make any sense. Tyler Boyd, 3 catches for 38 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 3 catches, 49 yards and a touchdown. Both of those coming, again, really in mop-up time. Hayden Hurst, 4 catches for 42 yards. Joe Mixon, 7 catches for 32 yards. So he had a total of 59 yards on 15 touches. I know you and I are both going to talk about this. Chris Evans, 1 catch for 26 yards on a big third down. And, Maan, he didn't have another offensive snap in the football game. Again, absolutely irresponsible by this coaching staff and completely unacceptable that he gets 1 snap the entire game. It just doesn't make any sense. Evan McPherson did not look like himself. Missed the big field goal, as I was talking about at the end of the half, and ended up being a 6-point swing, right? A big miss because they go down and kick a field goal, and those kind of things can't happen. You can't miss those field goals in that situation. Then he misses an extra point. Again, just unacceptable by our special teams. Jesse Bates has his best game as a tackler. He led the team with 10 tackles, which, again, is not good when your safety leads a team in tackles. Pratt and Hubbard, each with 9 tackles. Hubbard did have a sack. Logan Wilson with 8 tackles. BJ Hill, Cam Taylor-Britt, Zach Carter, and Trey Hendrickson, all with 5 tackles. Hendrickson got a half of a sack. Von Bell with another solid performance by him, 4 tackles. He got the other half of the sack from Hendrickson, which caused that fumble. And he also had the interception by Amari Cooper that Amari Cooper threw, and Akeem Davis-Gaither again with that big fumble recovery. But the Bengals get 2 turnovers on defense, something that I have been stressing about with this team the last couple weeks. They create 2 early turnovers, and the Bengals do absolutely nothing on offense with them. In good field position, Mon. I mean, it's not like the Bengals did not have good field position in this football game. Anytime you get the ball on the plus side of the 50 or on the 50, you've got to score in the league. You've got to.
Yeah,
you cannot have points from there.
Yeah. The first turnover, they got the ball to 43. The second one was almost at midfield. 0. Nothing out of it. You're right.
I mean, it's just totally unacceptable, right?
It is. And
go ahead. What were you going to say?
No. I mean, you were texting before the game. It wasn't just that. I mean, they recovered some punts at the 35. That's good field position. I mean, with our kicker, if you get the ball at the 43-yard line after a turnover, all you need is 2 first downs. You got a field goal. Okay.
Normally,
and the other one, I think it was the 49-yard line. Hey man, get 15 yards, get a field goal at worst case. Yeah. Man, I just cannot believe how they allowed one player, and he's a great player, to totally disrupt and manhandle this offense. Again, Jake, I'm frustrated. I'm going to say it one more time. 10 rush attempts.
Well,
10 rush attempts.
Again, like you said, this is one of the worst. The Cleveland Browns is one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL coming into this football game. Let me go back real quick, and I want to give you this stat, okay? The Cleveland Browns, we were texting back and forth, and I'm very when it comes to Cleveland Browns, I'm very negative about that entire organization because I think it is a circus. That's what's so frustrating for me is we're losing to this team every year, and they're awful. They are awful. I don't care. They have a couple good players, yes, but this team that we played on Monday night is one of the worst teams in the NFL, Mon. They're one of the worst defenses in the NFL. We can talk about how great Myles Garrett is. Let me tell you what their defense has given up before the Bengals game on Monday night. Here we go. You ready? Week 1 against the Carolina Panthers, they gave up 24 points. Week 2 against the New York Jets, they gave up 31 points. Week 3 against the Atlanta Falcons, they gave up 23 points. Week 4 against the Chargers, they gave up 30 points. Week 5 against the New England Patriots, Mon, they gave up 38 points. 38 points to Matt Jones. Was it Matt Jones or Zappa playing that game? Who cares? They're both terrible.
Yeah.
38 points to that terrible offense. And then last week against the Ravens, they give up 23 points. Mon, this defense that everybody was raving about last night is awful. They are awful, Mon. And we score 13 points against those clowns. And the 13 points, Mon, again, I hate to say like mop up time, but it really was. It was mop up time.
They were.
We
were shut out.
It's embarrassing.
We were shut out for 3 quarters.
It's
I want to go back. I want to go back to the Patriot game. The Patriots don't have the skill position players we have. Okay, they turned the Browns over multiple times at games. That game, and guess what? Their offense was able to capitalize and get points off of that. Not the Bengals the other night. 2 good turnovers to offset our other ones. We don't get any points. And Jake, just keep on. I mean, keep on with the stats. You're absolutely right. And I'm reliving the pain when you're talking.
Well, let me talk about this too, because obviously not having Jamar Chase, that makes a huge. That does make a difference. He's the best receiver in the NFL. If he's not the best, he's top 2 receiver in the NFL. I don't think anybody would argue that about Jamar Chase. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp. Those are the 3 best receivers in the NFL. I don't even think it's close. But you know what, Mon? This is what really frustrates me. Is yes, Jamar Chase didn't play, right? But Zach Taylor needs, if he's going to be the offensive coordinator, Coach Taylor needs to know how to use these other talented guys that we have. We just can't go in panic mode when one of those guys goes down. And I'm going to go back now. I'm going to rewind real quick. I'm going to name off those first 6 games where they gave up an average, Maan, of 20. I think I'm not a math guy, but 26 points, I want to say. Gave up an average of about 26 points in those 6 games. Take Jamar Chase out of the equation. All we're talking about right now is Hayden Hurst, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins. The Panthers, do they have anybody on that team that is the caliber of those 3 players? No, they don't, right? They gave up 24 points to the Carolina Panthers. The New York Jets, do they have anyone at receiver or tight end that caliber of players?
They do not.
No. They gave up 31 points to them. The Atlanta Falcons, do they have anyone the caliber of those 3 players?
No.
No. They gave up 23 to them. The Chargers, you might argue Mike Williams, he's a stud, but
Eckler.
The Chargers, Eckler, but we're talking about that receiver position. Besides Mike Williams, the Chargers, do they have anyone at the caliber of Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins?
No, I believe their other number 13, their other wide receiver, was out that game.
Yeah, Keenan Allen hasn't been playing, right?
Yeah,
so we're just talking about Mike Williams. They gave up 30 points to the Chargers. Again, I sound like a broken record, Mon. Do the New England Patriots have anybody to the caliber of those 3 players?
No, they have Belichick.
Not even close. Yeah. Not even close. They have Belichick, but Belichick doesn't call the offense.
No.
And the Ravens, do the Ravens have anybody of the caliber at those 2 guys at wide receiver?
No.
And that's what's frustrating, Mon, is that, we harp on, Jamar Chase didn't play. You know what? We still have 2 number 1 receivers on this football team, and our offensive staff does not know how to get these guys the football. It is frustrating. I cannot wrap my head around it. And then you got a guy like Chris Evans, who you and I both talked about, okay, Jamar Chase is down. This is his time, right? He can play wide receiver. I mean, the guy has made incredible plays, split out wide. He does it again early on Monday night, right? A big 3rd down catch. He doesn't play another snap. I mean, what in the hell is going through their mind, the staff's mind? I just don't understand it. It's completely, it just blows my mind. I cannot wrap my head around it. And I know I'm coming across negative, but again, I've said this before on our show. We, as passionate Bengal fans, we should be frustrated with this. Listen, I know last year we were 5-4, and we have the opportunity to be 5-4 going into the bye again, just like we were last year. But you know what? This team we have this year is better than last year's team, or should be. We should not just accept, we were 5-4 last year at the bye, so it's okay if we're 5-4 now. Mom, we're 0-3 in the division, and we've lost to 3 really bad football teams. The Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers are probably in the bottom 3 of the teams in the NFL. You could throw the Texans in. Those 3 are probably the 3 worst teams in the NFL, and we've lost to 2 of them.
The 0-3 in the North is going to kill us. That's brutal. And those teams that you just talked about, the Steelers and the Browns, they got to do us a solid, and hopefully they can pick off they could take out the Ravens for us next time they play. But, Jake, listen, you're preaching to the choir. I'm just beyond frustrated about the game. Right up there with the Steelers, the Browns as a team, I really just despise. And I want this team. I'm just sick and tired of this bad matchup. That was one of the worst Bengal losses I've seen in years. It was worse than last year's game when it was 41-16. To me, I felt like it was worse.
Well, it's on prime time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's on prime time, isn't it?
We had the ball for 23 minutes. And you know what? Listen, when DJ Reader's out, some of your key players are injured. You're starting a new cornerback, and then Cheeto goes out. The Cheeto injury is brutal. you got to run the ball more than 10 times. I mean, Jake, you're a football coach. I mean, coach me up on this. When you have elite pass rushers like the Browns, Myles Garrett, shouldn't you run the ball 20, 25 times and at least wear them down a little bit? Doesn't that slow them down enough? Doesn't that slow them down enough?
Of course you should. Look, that's what the San Diego Chargers, I think Eckler had 200 yards rushing against them.
Yeah, he killed them.
I mean, it just and Austin Eckler is a great football player. You're telling me he's better than Joe Mixon? Are you telling me that this offensive line that we've thrown all this money in is not as good as the San Diego Chargers offensive line? I've watched the Chargers games. The Chargers offensive line is not great, Maan.
No. Listen, Eckler's a great player, but so I think Mixon is too. And I just think they need to listen. I understand the modern day NFL is a passing league. I totally get it. This isn't the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We're not going to have, we do have great running backs in the NFL, but this is all about passing. It's the age of Mahomes. It's the age of Allen, Burrow. They're going to throw. But you know what? That doesn't mean you give up on running. 10 attempts in one game is absolutely asinine. I can't wrap my head around it. They have got to run more than 10 running plays a game. You will not win with 10 rush attempts. I'm sorry.
Well, Maan, listen. And you know what? People are going to argue with you, and they're going to say, well, Maan, we the Bengals are, it's hard to run when you're trying to come back. Well, don't put yourself in that situation. You know what I mean? You run the football, and you're not down by 25 points. And to go on to your point with the run, listen to this. Ben Baby texts this out. This is from ESPN Next Gen Stats, Mom. This is insane. Over the last 4 weeks, the Bengals ranked third in the NFL. Okay, over the last 4 weeks, the Bengals ranked third in the NFL in run block win rate. That means on running plays, they are the third best team in the NFL over the last 4 weeks of winning their run blocks. Mon, in that span, in those 4 games, they are 23rd in the NFL on yards per rush. What does that tell you, Mon? I'll tell you what it tells me. It tells me that we need to upgrade at running back. And I love Joe Mixon. I love the guy. I am a huge Joe Mixon fan. I always have been. But if you're telling me that we are third in the NFL in winning our run blocks, and we are 23rd in per rush attempts, that tells me that a lot of the problem is at running back. That's what it tells me. I mean, again, I'm just reading the numbers, and I'm a numbers guy, and numbers don't lie. I love Joe Mixon, but I mean, the numbers don't lie, right? I mean, if we're winning our run blocks, how are we 23rd in rush per temp? That doesn't make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
With somebody mentioned this on Twitter earlier, and I'm sorry, I don't recall who it is. And if I'm not giving you credit, I apologize. But they brought up a great question. Are the Bengals even built to run the ball the way they play offense? I listen, I think Dave Lapham said this years ago. He said it multiple times. Offensive linemen love to run block. Once they get into that groove, the running back is getting 4, 5, 6 yards per carry. Hey, they get better at it. They get really amped. The Bengals simply don't do that. Let me read this stat from Matt Minnick. He put it on Twitter today. The Bengals had only 1 first down on their last 4 drives of the first half. 1 first down on their last 4 drives of the first half. It wasn't a blowout then, Jake. Yeah. 3 drives took less than 6 minutes off. These drives took less than 6 minutes off the clock and resulted in 0 points.
That's crazy.
So listen, we all know when the Browns get the ball, they're going to run it. They ran it over 44 times. When you have that stat, it just wears out your defense. Logan Wilson, these guys were playing their ass off, and they were just getting, they were getting fatigued. They were on the field 37 minutes in this game.
That's
and
crazy.
They played their hearts out. Listen, Chubb and these guys, they had like 3.9 yards per average. They played their hearts out, but they just wore them down. They wore them down, and these guys were exhausted. That's why the game got out of hand. But the offense, the offense has got to do a better job. And I'm telling you, that's where running the ball goes into effect.
But again,
That's
Mon,
just
if I'm
simple.
telling you though, Mon, that our offensive linemen are winning their run block rate, what does that tell you? I mean,
Joe's
we're
not
sitting
hitting the
here,
right hole.
we're sitting here talking about all this, but I'm telling you, again, numbers don't lie. I'm telling you that the next gen stats are saying that the Bengals offensive line is winning. I mean, again, they're third. So you're figuring they're winning about 90% of their run block rate. And we're 23rd in the NFL on per rush attempt. Mon, again, I'm not. I listen. I love Joe Mixon, and I want to see him succeed. Joe Mixon was when this year first started. I thought Joe Mixon was going to be in the MVP rate, in the MVP race, but I don't know, man. The numbers don't lie, and the numbers are telling me that our running backs are not hitting the hole, or they're not explosive. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm just going off of what these numbers are telling me, and it doesn't make any sense.
Jake, do you remember? I think Zach Taylor's rookie year, we played in London. I think it was against the Rams, if I'm
It
not
was
mistaken.
against the Rams, yeah.
Yeah, and the Bengals' running game was abysmal, and so they totally revamped their run schemes that week of that game. Joe Mixon, the Bengals went out and actually ran the ball very effectively, and then they improved dramatically the second half of the season. This is what needs to happen at the this week. Hopefully we win against the Panthers. We have a bye. They need to sit there and reevaluate everything, and find a solution to get more consistency out of that run game. Because, listen, it's holding us back a little bit. We can't have Joe Burrow throwing the ball 40, 50 times. What was it 2 years ago? He threw the ball 63 times against the Browns. 63 times. That was 2 years ago.
Well, again, especially when
and
we're
they
struggling,
lost, and they obviously lost.
yeah, especially when we're struggling, pass blocking. Let me go. That'll lead me right into this, right? All right. So
Okay.
again, this is not. I'm not trying to. I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to pick on guys tonight on the show. I'm trying to find solutions. That's what a coach does, right? When you're struggling in certain areas, you got to fix them. You can't just hope that they fix themselves. That's not how football works. It just doesn't fix itself. You have to fix it. Whether that is running a different scheme, or adding an extra blocker if you're struggling running the football, or whatever the case may be. Or even if you're struggling protecting the passer, add another blocker. I'm not picking on people, but I am looking at the numbers, and I'm looking at where the deficiency are on this team and how we can fix it. 'Cause again, right? We can sit here and we can complain and all that, but fix it, right? As a coach, that's what I want you to do. Tell me, how do I fix it? If we're struggling here and you don't like it, how do we fix it? Jonah Williams, okay? Jonah Williams gave up 3 sacks on Monday night, okay? Again, he's going against an elite pass rusher, but again, I'm tired of hearing that. I'm tired of hearing about who Jonah Williams has to go up against. Let me give you Jonah Williams' pass grades. This is his pass blocking grades through the first, 8 weeks of the season. Here we go. You ready? Week 1 against Pittsburgh Steelers. He was he had a 62.5 pass block grade. 62.5.
Is this PFF? PFF?
This is PFF, okay? And this is Joe Goodberry tweeted this out.
Okay.
Here we go. Week 2 against the Dallas Cowboys, a 45.9 pass block grade. Week 3, that was against the Jets, 54.3. Week 4, that was against the Dolphins, 60.2. Week 5, that was against who was week 5? That was the Saints. Yes. Week 5 against the Saints, 74.1. Week 6 against the Falcons, 46.1. Right? Am I saying that right? week 6, 7, week 7. Wait, no, week 7 was against the Falcons, right? That was an 83. Week 6 was the Saints. That was a 46.1.
Okay.
Week 5 was what was week 5? That was against the Ravens.
Ravens.
That was the Ravens.
Yeah.
The Ravens was a 74.1.
Right.
On Monday night, a 52.7. Now, again, I'm not a math guy, and I did not get good grades in high school. But I will tell you right now, my grades were a lot better than those grades. If I'm looking at it numerically, in the first 8 games, he has had 1, 2, 3, 4 Fs. He has had 2 Ds, a C, and a B. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable when your left tackle, who is the blind side of the franchise, in the first 8 games has 4 Fs, 2 Ds, a C, and a B. That's absolutely unacceptable, and it's really embarrassing, to be honest.
Yeah, he's been a disappointment. There's no other way to put it. He was a number 11 pick of draft. He was a can't-miss prospect, according to Nick Saban. He has not lived up to his high draft status, and he's got to get better. He's become the weak link of the offensive line when everybody thought he was going to be the strength. Those numbers are unacceptable. That's just unacceptable. Paul Dehner and Jay Morrison on their podcast brought up something about everybody was talking about the offensive line and their uptick and they're playing better. They didn't use the word fool's gold, but I'm going to use it. They played 2 of their better games were against the Falcons and the Saints. They don't have elite pass rushers. They don't. Grady Jarrett for the Falcons interior defensive lineman, but they don't have a Garrett. They don't have a Micah Parsons. They don't have the guy for the Steelers, T.J. Watt. And, the Bengals really struggle against them. And listen, don't get me wrong. A lot of tackles struggle against them, but the Bengals really, really do. And, listen, our offensive line is still a work in progress. I'm happy with the interior play. Our tackles are still trying to figure things out. Collins with his bad back is hopefully trending upwards. But yeah, Jonah Williams, I tell you, it was so painful for him to watch that the other night, especially the first sack that he had help with Pirine. And I don't know what Jonah Williams was doing, but he looked absolutely lost and terrible. He embarrassed 2 Bengal players, Myles Garrett did. And it was just painful to watch that game and it's like he was getting spun around. He reminded me of that. Remember the tag years ago named Dennis Rowland that he actually sacked our quarterback one game. Our own offensive lineman sacked our quarterback one game. But you know what? They better get ready because the Panthers have a pass rusher in Brian Burns, and he's going to be ready, and he's going to be licking his chops against that offensive line.
Well, and there were some bad calls, right? I mean, the no call hold on Von Bell that on 3rd down was absolutely atrocious. I don't know how the back judge completely disregards that holding call. But you can't blame holding calls didn't lose us the game. You know what I mean?
No.
What lost us the football game is, our lack of ability to move the ball on offense. And quite honestly, and again, I know our defense was on the field quite a bit, but you also can't give up big explosive plays on defense, and they did. And the Cheeto injury is I don't think a lot of people realize how horrible that is for our football team. And the frustrating thing is, we go through the trade deadline and the Bengals don't try to trade for a corner. They don't try to trade for a wide receiver. You and I talked about this before the season that, the depth at DB and the depth at wide receiver is thin. And, I just don't understand. We're seeing all these other football teams that are trying to compete for a Super Bowl go out and make big splashes in the trade deadline. And the Bengals just, we're good with who we got. And again, I'm a huge Alan George fan. I hope Alan George breaks this starting lineup because, right now with Eli Apple, Cam Taylor-Britt, Trey Flowers, who you and I went back and forth on this. Trey Flowers used to be a corner. Now he is a hybrid type of a defensive back that, we have covering the tight end. He is not a boundary corner, Maan. Trey Flowers cannot play boundary corner. I love the guy. He's not a boundary corner. Jalen Davis, again, I mean, come on. And hopefully, like I said, I have just as much faith in Alan George as I do anyone else but that's right now where we are at defensive back. And shame on the Bengals for not making a splash and going out and get somebody to help this depleted defensive back. I mean, Eli Apple's banged up. He's not 100%, and we're just going to roll out there with these guys. I mean, it just makes no sense. Again, the same thing at receiver. If you're thinking that Jamar Chase is going to be out 3 more weeks, and again, we've already seen how much this staff struggles of, running this offense without Jamar Chase. Why not go out and get a receiver that can help you out right now? I just don't understand. It's just frustrating, Mom.
I feel your frustration, and I get it. I tell you what, the Cheeto injury is heartbreaking because us Bengal fans know how good he is. He's truly he was a shutdown corner for us.
Oh yeah,
the way he played for us. Listen, our safeties are very, very good. Cheeto pretty much majority of the time one-on-one could handle his own guy. And so guess what? They could shade over. They could help Eli out, whoever was playing corner over there. Guess what? They just lost that. I love Alan George. He's going to get called up. I fully expect him to get called up. I tell you what, today's press conference, they said it. Dax Hill is going to be getting a lot of snaps at cornerback. He's an elite athlete, super fast. I think he can do it. He's going to have some growing pains in there. So is Cam Taylor-Britt. Listen, Cam Taylor-Britt looks like a feisty guy, good tackler, but he's a work in progress also. Those safeties, they're going to have to help out quite a bit. Listen, I'm glad, it's a very winnable game coming up this week. Those guys get a bye week, a little extra practice. They play the Steelers. I love the fact, give Dax Hill 3 or 4 games at that cornerback spot. I think he could develop into a serviceable, decent defensive back. He's got cornerback. He's got the physical skills to do that. I think he's going to be the starter over there. I really do. And
he's got to. He's got. Listen,
a key player.
He's got no choice.
Yeah,
he's going to have to be because we don't have anybody else, right? I mean, those guys that we just named. That's who we're running with, I guess. And like I said, I just hope that I hope we fix our pass rush because if that's the group that we're going with, we're going to have to get a lot of pass rush on these quarterbacks because again, I'm not trying to be negative over here, but we just lost one of the best corners in football. I mean, Cheeto is a top 3 corner in this league, and you don't replace that or attempt to replace that. I just, again, like I said, shame on the Bengals. It really is shame on the Bengals. It doesn't change at all how I feel about this team. I love this team with every ounce of my soul, but if our expectations as fans right now is it should be from here on out that we're competing for a Super Bowl every year. And you're telling me that there's no one out there in the market that you can go after to help this football team. The Ravens go out and get Raekwon Smith, and again, we go out and compete.
It was a very, very active trade deadline. You know what? We've talked about it for years. Listen, the Bengals have a good roster. Losing Cheeto sucks, but it is frustrating when the team you're competing against, the team that thinks they're going to win the North, the team that thinks they're Super Bowl contenders, they go out and get an elite backer in Roquan Smith. What about the Dolphins? The Dolphins are, loading up. They go get Bradley Chubb. Okay, and there was multiple trades yesterday. Teams are going all in to try to win it all. I'm not saying the Bengals aren't trying to win it all. Of course they are. We have good young players, but sometimes, hey man, our Super Bowl window is open. Can we make one of those trades? Hey, you know what? If we get another elite pass rusher or defensive back on another team, is it worth a third round pick? I think it is.
Oh, it is.
Why
It's
not?
100%
Yeah,
is. It's 100%. And Mom,
yeah.
we're not talking about having to replace, our third receiver or our third corner. We're talking about right now the Bengals are down their best receiver, their best corner, and their best defensive lineman, right? Would you agree?
I totally agree. Reader will be
And
back in a week, I hope, or 2 weeks. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you're absolutely,
I
absolutely.
mean, again, you're not talking
Listen,
about going out and replacing, guys on the down the depth chart. You're talking about going out. You're having to. The Bengals need to be able to replace, three very important positions and three very talented players.
yeah.
And they did none of that. They did none of
I'll
that.
say this, Jake. I'll say this right now. The Cheeto injury is going to have really negative impact on our defense. We still have good players, Hubbard, Hendrickson, Logan Wilson. Our safeties are very good. Um, the Bengals defense needs that offense more than ever.
I
We need
know.
our offense to take it to another level because I'm going to tell you, our defense is gonna take a step back.
Yeah,
And I'm not
and
saying they're
that
going to be poor, but you
no.
just can't recover from Cheeto. Even listen, I'm not sticking up for the Bengals here. Even if they did make a move to get a cornerback, he wasn't going to be anywhere near Cheeto. But
No. No, but
I mean, listen, yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel you. I agree with you though. We do need more bodies back there, bodies with quality NFL starts. But
yes.
I'll sound like a homer here. Lou Anarumo, former defensive back coach. They got good defensive back coaches, Livingston and Burke. So listen, they're going to coach these guys up. I'm hoping Bates and Bell can sort of glue them together, and hope Eli reverts back a little bit to last year. I mean, he's played some good games this year, but he's also he's struggled some, and
Yes, he has.
he's gonna have to be the leader for us, and we'll see. And let's talk about the Panthers.
Let's talk about the Panthers. So,
Let's do it.
Panthers lose a heartbreaking game. I ended up watching that game obviously because we didn't play until Monday night, so I watched that Panthers game just to kind of do a little bit of scouting. And man, I tell you what, I don't know if you watched the end of that game, Mon, but it was unbelievable how the Panthers lost that football game. So they're coming off of a heartbreaking loss. Uh, PJ Walker, the quarterback who's getting his second start against us, he's not bad, Mon. He can spin it, and he's very athletic kid. He can get outside the pocket. He can hurt you outside the pocket. The Bengals are going to have to defensively. They're going to have to keep that kid in the pocket and make him throw, put him in some bad situations because he's a player. And you said it before, with Brian Burns, they got an elite pass rusher over there on the defensive side of the ball. This is not a team to take lightly. They've had a couple really good weeks, and they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers badly, and really should have beat the Falcons. But they got some receivers, they got some guys that can make plays on that team. Cincinnati Bengals, we need to come out focused and prepared. And I did like what I saw from the locker room and heard from the locker room these last couple of days. The Bengal players they're letting the Cleveland thing go, and they're trying to get focused on this game. And I think they all realize that we have to be 5-4 going into this bye week, Mom. We cannot be 4-5. We just can't. This is a must-win game.
I
But
agree with
they're a
you.
good team.
I agree.
Panthers are a good football
Yeah.
team.
They have a lot of good players. That quarterback really impressed me last week. He can sling it, and I expect the coaching staff for the Panthers to attack our cornerbacks. And listen, they got good players. DJ Moore is a good player. He got ripped off on that, taking off his helmet. He was off the playing field. That was a ridiculous penalty. And Chuba Hubbard was great in college. He's a starting running back. Their backup Foreman, he was the guy who played for the Titans last year that had a good game in that playoff game against us. But You're right. Brian Burns is an elite pass rusher. Derek Brown's a good defensive tackle. They have a lot of good players. Xavier Woods is playing safety now for them. We got to be ready. And listen, I got to say this. AFC champions played in the Super Bowl last year, came off a horrible loss against the Browns. We have no business losing this game. If the Bengals don't come in and dominate this game, it's going to be a bad look. They need to come in, go into this bye week. We need to take it to them. We need to win this game. It shouldn't even be close. They get the week off. They feel a little better about themselves. Get ready for a primetime game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got to come out, and we got to start getting ready for the second half. I'd say I just want to go back about 15 episodes when the roster broke, Jake. I was so pissed off because we had 3 primetime games on the road in Baltimore, in Cleveland, in Pittsburgh. NFL hates us. Listen, I don't care what the records are. When you play in prime time on the road against a division opponent, it screws you. It's hard. I don't care what your record is.
Yeah.
That is hard to do, and I was frustrated then, and it's hitting me now. We got to play another primetime game in Pittsburgh. Come on, man. We're the AFC champs. Give us one of those games at home.
I agree.
I
agree. That was piss.
That.
No, but you're right. I mean, that's piss poor on the NFL. I mean, we saw that when the schedule came out. It was piss poor on their part to do that to the AFC champions. I mean, again, everybody's excited. We got all these primetime games, but they did. They gave us 3 primetime games on the road against 3 division opponents.
2 at home. Only 2 at home.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. But that's where we are right now. And like you said, I mean, the Bengals after the Steelers, they go Steelers Titans, right? Steelers Titans. After that, it gets tough. It gets real tough. The Bengals need to win these next 3 football games and put themselves in a good position to make a run down at the end of the stretch. But I'm going to tell you right now, they have got to win out in the division. They have got to be 500 in the division. You cannot have a losing record in the division and expect to have a chance to win the division or even try to make the playoffs for that matter. So the Bengals have got to win those next 3 games against the Ravens, Steelers, and Browns. And again, they're very winnable games for this football team, but the Bengals have got to figure this thing out. I mean, I think we as Bengal fans, we're all tired of hearing about we're okay. Well, I watched on Monday night, Maan, they're not okay. They're not okay right now, and they got to figure this out. And I think we believe that they will. I believe they will. I believe in Joe Burrow. I believe in this defense. I think they will figure it out, but they better do it quick because they are losing opportunity right now.
I know we're going to have our predictions for the game coming up here, but let's play a really quick game. Okay, they have 9 games remaining. Okay, I'm going to read them off. We need to get 6 more wins to get in the playoffs. I'm going to name them off real quick and just rapid fire if you think they're going to be wins or losses. Bengals, Panthers at Bengals. I have that as a win.
Win.
Okay. Next week, bye week, then we go Bengals at Pittsburgh. I have that as a Bengals win.
Win.
Okay. Bengals at Titans. I have that as a loss.
I'm going to disagree. I have that I think they'll win that football game.
Okay. All right. So you already got 3 wins. We need 6.
Yep.
Hypothetically. Okay. Bengals. I have that as a loss.
The Bengals Chiefs. You broke up. Sorry. The Bengals Chiefs.
Yeah. Chiefs at Bengals.
Yeah. I mean that's that's going to be a tough game, especially if the Bengals don't figure this defensive thing out. I'll say 3-1 right now.
Okay. Browns, Bengals. That's going to be a butt kicking for the Browns. Bengals win.
Okay. I'll give the Bengals a win. I'll say 4-1 right now.
Okay. Bengals at Buccaneers. I have the Bengals winning in Tampa.
I do too. I think the Buccaneers are struggling. I'll say 5-1.
Okay. I have 4-2. Okay.
Okay.
Bengals at Patriots. This is where I think the Bengals on the road. I know against Belichick, I think the Bengals win.
I think I think I picked this as a I think I picked this as a loss, didn't I, when the season started?
Yeah, you did.
That's going to be a tough football game. I think it's going to be tough going in and playing that football team in New England. You know, I'm going to say win. I'm going to say 6-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're in the playoffs by you. Bills at
Okay.
Bengals. At the beginning of the schedule came out, I had this as a no-brainer Bengal win because Monday Night Football finally in Cincinnati. I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna pick. This is gonna be a tough game. I think the Bills beat us.
Well, let me say this. I think that this could be. I think this could be the game that the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow, the big win of the year. I think this could be the big win of the year. I really do believe that. I think that
that's fair.
I think that right. I think that I think our Bengals are going to win. They're going to win one of those Kansas City or Buffalo games, and I really think it's going to be Buffalo. I think the Bengals are going to come in and they're gonna. That's going to be their big win of the year. I'm going to say Buffalo. I'm going to say it's a win.
I had it as a win. I had it as a win when the schedule was released. I hope you're right. Ravens at Bengals. Bengals have to win this game to get the playoffs. Bengals win.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals dominate them, and it could be for the division. If listen, everybody's really jumping on the Ravens bandwagon because the way they dominated last week. We're about to get to the predictions this week. I'm going to tell you right now. I'll jump the gun. The Saints are going to beat them tonight in New Orleans. The Saints will beat the Ravens this week.
I think so too.
Yeah, I just want a quick review. We need to get. I think we need to get 6 more wins. I see it happening. You have 7, I think. I think the Bengals still make the playoffs.
Listen, I think the Bengals. I think we're still going to finish. And maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but I still think we finish 12-5, 11-6. I think we're still going to be in that range. And maybe I am a homer, maybe I am overly optimistic, but I do believe in Joe Burrow, and I think it's very hard to go against Joe Burrow because when Joe Burrow is on, this offense is on, this team is unbeatable. And I'm just gonna keep believing in Joe Burrow because honestly, I'm struggling right now believing in this coaching staff. I'll be honest with you, I'm just struggling with it. I see so many mistakes every week, and they just build up, and it just doesn't make any sense. Some of the stuff going on, and I'm struggling with that. But I really believe in Joe Burrow, and I think Joe Burrow is going to carry this football team when they need him to. The guy is he's still elite. I don't care what anybody says. He's still the best quarterback in the NFL, and just like I'm sure Bills fans and Chiefs fans believe the same thing. When they go through those spells of losing football games, they're always going to believe that team is going to do great things when it needs to because, the quarterback position is the most important position in the NFL. And we have one of the best ones. So, but okay, let's talk about that real quick. Ravens, Saints, Steelers and Browns are both on a bye week. Ravens and Saints, Maan, on Monday Night Football. You said Saints. Tell me the score.
Yeah, I believe the Saints are going to win this game. I think it's going to be 28-21. Monday night in New Orleans. That's not going to be an easy game for the Ravens. I feel very confident about this. Andy Dalton, Saints, 28-21.
I do too. I think the Saints win this game 21-13. And say what you want to about Andy Dalton, but Andy Dalton is the Raven killer. He is the Raven killer. He is. He always has been. And when it comes to Andy Dalton versus the Ravens, I will never bet on the Ravens. Andy Dalton is going to win this football game. Let me say this too about Andy Dalton real quick. Andy Dalton has not played bad at all for the Saints. They've lost a couple games that he's been exceptional in. He is going to win the Saints some more football games. The Saints are right in the mix of this whole thing. Don't count them out. I really do. I think Andy Dalton and the New Orleans Saints beat the Baltimore Ravens. All right, Bengals, Panthers, Maan, Sunday. Who you got?
I got the Bengals. It's not going to be close. 35-13. Defensive touchdown. Logan Wilson or Akeem Gaither is going to score a touchdown for the Bengals. 35-13. Bengals are going to go into their bye with a good confidence building win.
I have Bengals winning 28-13, and I'm going to say this, Mom. There is no way in hell the Bengals are losing this football game. There's no way in hell. It's just not. And that is nothing against the Panthers. That is my belief in Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is going to will this win, and he's going to go off. He is going to have a huge game on Sunday. The Bengals, like you said, I think they go into the bye 5-4, and hopefully get this thing turned around. Again, it's hard not to believe in this football team. It's really tough. The coaches are not making it easy, but these players, you have to believe in these guys. We have a great roster, and we have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's just hard to go against those guys that we know on this roster are going to will this team to wins. And as badly as they played on Monday night against the Cleveland Browns, it seems like they do that once a year anyways, right? They did that last year, and we went to the Super Bowl. So hopefully that's the bad loss of the year, and we don't have to deal with that again, because that was miserable on Monday night.
Yeah. We lost 2 in a row. We were 5-4 at the bye. We had lost to the Browns and the Jets, 2 horrible games.
Yes.
And you know what? Listen, everybody's looking at the second half of the season. Bengals had a hard second half. They had to play the Chiefs. They had to play some good teams. Yes. They rise to the occasion, and they ended up making it to the playoffs and going to the Super Bowl. Listen, just got to get a big win, one game at a time. Go in, rest up. DJ Reader will be back. Tapau will be back. Logan Wilson's going to be healthier. Hopefully, Jamar Chase is another week or 2 away. They need the bye week is one perfect timing for the bye week. Perfect timing.
Yes.
And let's just get this win. Let's go have some fun. I'm going to be in Cincinnati. I'm going to go to Ruby's Friday night, and I'm excited about that. And hopefully, get to meet some of our British Bengal friends. They're coming over for this game. I'm looking forward to hopefully running into them, and I'll let them buy me some beers. But I'm looking forward to it. We'll be at the Yard House Saturday night and meeting Eric up there. Jake, hopefully you're making it up to the game, and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, we will. All right. Well, that is another edition of the Bengals Pulse. Hey, Bengals, let's go. Let's get this thing together. We need a victory on Sunday. We need to go in the bye week with some momentum, right, Mom?
That's right.
All right, guys. Hey, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Check us out on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, and all the other podcast platforms. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please give us that 5-star review. We very much appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse9, and on Instagram, the same without the @ Bengals_Pulse9. Once again, guys, comment in the comment section. Let us know how you're feeling about our Bengals being 4-4 right now. Be honest with us. Be honest. Be realistic. How do you feel we are going to finish out this season after the bye week? Let us know. Make sure you check out all the other awesome podcasts right here on the Wincinnati Family Podcast Network. Once again, he is Maan. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. Hoo day, Bengal fans. Let's go get a win on Sunday.
See you guys.